Minnesota Twins win game one versus Detroit on the road. Thanks to Pablo and company. We're breaking it all down. It's coming up next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins POSTCAST episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Sweet Lou Hennessy, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. He's on X at Sweet Lou MN. And Lou, before we jump into all the action from tonight's game, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, back on the road now. 6 road games in a row. Game 1 versus Detroit tonight. A red-hot Detroit Tiger team, by the way. Pablo on the mound. That dude was fantastic. 7 full innings of work, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks. More on him a little bit later, but he was absolutely huge tonight. Gave the bullpen a little bit of rest as well. The offense, though, man, the bats, that's probably the A topic, right? The return of Royce Lewis. It definitely seemed to help, even though he only went, 1 for 5 tonight. Something about just having that dude in the lineup makes everybody else around him a little bit better. Buxton, Larnach, Vasquez all went yard. They all homered. Brooks Lee was 3 for 4. Castro with 2 ribbies. And all in all, they scored 9 runs. That's got to be the most runs they've scored in, 15, 20 games. I'll look it up. But, and that's also with, by the way, 9 runners left on base and only going 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So could have been even more. Big enough lead, though, for Strawmont, Thielbar to, come on in, shut everybody down. And that was really all she wrote. Twins win game 1, 9-3. They jump back up now to 57-45 on the year, so 12 games above 500. Cleveland won, so 4.5 back from Cleveland. Sweet Lou, kick us off. Biggest takeaways, 8 topics. Then we'll talk about Pablo's day next.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Pablo has to be the A topic. He's going to be such a crucial player for them in this second half here. And if they don't have him on the right track, the rotation loses gas really quickly. So really great to see him. And then, like you said, just top to bottom, 13 hits across the board, everybody getting on except for Carlos Santana and I guess Manny Margot coming in late in the game. But you love to see it, and you love to see contributions from guys like Vasquez, at the bottom of the lineup, who really set it up for some of the big thumpers. Especially someone like Byron Buxton hitting in the 2-hole tonight.
The past 7, 8, 9 games, I know you and I haven't talked or broken any games down the POSTCAST in a while, but the A topic in a lot of their losses was the clutch hitting, or lack of, I should say. So, a lot of runners left on base, terrible numbers with runners in scoring position, all that. And you knew just getting Royce back would help. To what degree, we didn't know right away, right? First game back. But I know it's only 1 game here, but how encouraging is it to see this kind of production at the plate from this entire lineup, top to bottom? Like, how much did that move the needle of optimism, I guess, putting up that many runs with Royce Lewis back in this lineup?
Sure. And, the last few games when they did leave, bases juiced a lot of times, that's obviously really frustrating, and it's not super fun to watch aesthetically, but you'll take that as a trend any day of the week of, okay, we're getting on base a ton. So usually that leads to more wins down the road. And especially considering that they were doing that against the likes of Milwaukee and Philadelphia, who are 2 of the best teams in the National League. That's encouraging. And hopefully it's, today was kind of the sign of things to come with this offense.
Yeah, definitely. And the hope is, right, things should only get better, right? I thought Miranda was coming back tonight, maybe tomorrow, though. And then, again, just having both them, Royce and Miranda, back in the lineup, then eventually Carlos Correa, whenever that is. Seriously, like, how nice does that lineup look all of a sudden on paper when everything's clicking? Like, what's this offense's ceiling when everybody's healthy, you think?
The offense is super dynamic at that point. It already is at that point. We have a pretty deep lineup as it is. But Jose Miranda did travel with the team, and it sounds like as long as he's feeling good tomorrow, it's looking likely that he'll get activated. But you got to think either this weekend or at least for New York. He was feeling pretty good. He got a couple games in with the Saints, and yeah, like you said, it's just. trickling back in everybody, into their prime roles here, especially when Carlos Correa comes back. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they juggle everything.
Yeah, and we always talk about Royce, we always talk about Correa and company, but how good has Byron Buxton been lately, man? I don't know if you got any numbers pulled up the last month or so, but the guy's really helped carry the team, shouldered the load in a lot of ways, has he not?
No doubt. And even before those two went,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
shelf, he was really turning things around after he came back from the injured list. He was on a quick little injured stint, I think kind of resting that knee for exactly 10 days. And then he came right back, and he's been bones ever since. He's been an absolute force for them. And, he is actually my little highlight here for my Rocco report coming up.
Yes, love that. Okay, yeah, good tease there. And again, we always talk about the big three at the plate: Royce, Correa, Buxton. Who's been the biggest unsung hero as of late that just deserves a little bit more love, a little bit more spotlight too? Because it feels like all of a sudden there's a lot to choose from. Willie Castro. I'm not saying he doesn't get some love. Obviously, voted to the All-Star game, deservedly so. Brooks Lee was great tonight. Again, 3 for 4. I know he's been a little up and down after that hot start. Wallner has really turned things around. Santana's been clutch, or at least clutch in some big time moments the past couple of weeks. Who's been like the next best or next most important guy for this offense once you get past kind of that top tier of more household names?
Yeah, I don't know if he's the most central figure in the offense after those guys, but I think a really unsung hero has been Trevor Larnach. And I think that there's a reason that Rocco has been hitting him in the 3-hole so often when he does play. He gets platooned a decent amount, but that's Rocco using him where he's most effective. And if he really is that convicted that, hey, Trevor Larnach can make a difference against right-handed pitching, he's going to put him in a prime spot in the lineup. And that's what we're seeing. And, 762 OPS, that's something that you love to see from Larnach. And he looks so much more confident this year than he did the last few seasons. It just looks like he's got a better plan at the plate, better plan of attack, and just so much more comfort in the batter's box.
Yeah, he's been a huge help. And you're right, a little bit of an unsung hero. The dude's always batting in that top 3, usually game in and game out. And again, I just don't think that gets a ton of attention, but that definitely speaks volumes considering, again, Rocco really puts a lot of pressure on that dude at the plate night in and night out. Let's talk about Pablo Lopez's day. 7 full innings, 6 hits, only 2 earned, 7 more Ks on the resume, 97 pitches. Think he just had 1 walk. How'd his stuff look tonight? And, I guess how many more of these types of outings do we need to, for him to put up, I guess, before we can start to say with some more confidence that he's starting to look like the Pablo of 2023 a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm knocking on wood over here, but I think it's 5 of his last 6 starts have been kind of to those expectations of second half Pablo from last year. So not saying that he's turned the corner all the way by any means, but I think that you're definitely more encouraged by what you're seeing from him. Tonight, he made one mistake, and that was that 1-2 slider to Javi Baez that he probably could have pitched, a foot outside, and Javi would have swung at it. But that's kind of been Pablo's issues this year, is that kind of command with his sweeper, especially, and leaving it too much in the wheelhouse for the hitter in the strike zone. So it shows that he's still working on things, but I think we're seeing him on the upswing for sure, especially considering 5 of the last 6 starts have been as stellar as they have been.
Yeah, you'll take that, man. You got to love it, especially after that slow start. And you're right. Okay, he made 1 mistake tonight, but still got away. 7 full innings, 7 Ks, only 2 earned. The first 5, 6, 7 starts, it was really only, again, 1 or 2 big mistakes that ended up really costing them and kind of put them behind the 8 ball. You could still see the bones, right? The infrastructure of 2023 Pablo. He's still in there somewhere. It was just 1 or 2 really ill-timed mistakes that ended up costing him, which, again, in the majors, you can't do more nice than not. These are professional batters. They're going to make you pay more times than not when you do make mistakes. But it seems like everything else has kind of stayed the same as far as just the foundation of what makes him so good. The mistakes, though, have just been dwindling down, start in and start out, which is great to see.
Yes,
Rocco report. You teased it. Favorite or least favorite move or decision from today's game. So game 1 versus Detroit, the Rocco report. It says what?
Yeah, I'm so excited to see Byron Buxton in the 2-hole. We've seen Rocco. He's
Yeah.
not going to be somebody with a settled lineup pretty much at any point of the season. Maybe if as they go into the playoffs, he'll have something a little more firmed up. But I love seeing Buck getting, because he was thriving in kind of that 7 hole for a good chunk of the season here. I'm glad to see him getting, maybe an extra at bat or two if he's at the top of the lineup. It's not just, looking for guys that Byron can drive in. Now he gets to be the guy starting at second base for guys like Larnach and Lewis and Kepler. So I like to see that Rocco is playing the hot hand, and he's doing it with one of his star players who's surging right now.
How about letting Pablo work his way out of that jam in the 7th inning? Bases juice, no outs. Are you kidding me? Rocco's
Yeah.
head probably about to pop off. That's like uncharted territory for him. I loved it. I absolutely love to see it.
Sure. No, and it shows you just how much confidence Rocco still has in Pablo, even after a shaky first half.
Yeah. No, you're right. That speaks volumes for sure. That's a great one. All right. Plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, I'm ashamed. I'm disappointed in myself for not bringing this up any sooner. But can we spend 2 minutes on just give Joe Mauer some flowers here, some spotlight, some love here for a second? First ballot Hall of Famer, homegrown local boy. Can't write the script any better. How much of his ceremony and whatnot did you get to see, and what was a few highlights or things that just stuck out the most about that whole process for Joe Mauer?
Look, I got to see the whole ceremony. It was awesome to see. I really wish I could have been there, but he means everything to guys in my generation. Coming up, I call myself a Mauerlennial because he's the first Hall of Fame star player that I will remember seeing. His first game. All the way through his career. So yes, Mauerlennial TM. There's a trademark next to that.
TM trademark.
I'm going to charge you. Yeah.
Yep.
So like I said, it means everything. He's such a humble guy, and I'm biased. I'm a St. Paul kid. What can I say? We're just cut different, but it's
something in the water over there. I don't know.
Yeah, but it means a lot to the organization, and I like to see all the ballyhoo that they've been putting together for him at the stadium itself throughout the year, leading up to, I think it's next week, they're doing kind of like a ceremony for him.
Oh, very cool. Can't wait to see that. That's going to be a special moment for sure. A million to choose from, I know, but give me one or two of your favorite memories or stats or a fact about Joe. Like for me, there's always two things that always stick out. Number one, and everybody knows this, they always say it. I don't know if people truly realize or remember how special of an athlete he was coming out of high school. Yes, number one overall pick in the MLB draft. That speaks volumes, but also not only could have went D1 in basketball, not just like, hey, I'm D1 in basketball, but I sit on the bench. Dude was a baller. Dude was a stud on the court, but also had the full ride to Florida State to be their starting quarterback. Florida State, okay? No disrespect to, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits and company, but Florida State, man, ACC, one of the most prestigious programs in college football history, and to play quarterback, he clearly made the right choice. Obviously, everything worked out the way it should have, but total stud athlete coming out of high school. The other thing that always just kills me is 4-year starter at Cretin-Durham Hall. So freshman through senior year, starting on one of, if not the best baseball program in the entire state of Minnesota. And the guy only strikes out 3 times ever in his high school career. 4-year starter, starting as a 15-year-old, 3 strikeouts his entire career. Come on, man. It is so on brand for Joe Mauer, but it's also just so ridiculous. I absolutely love those facts.
Look, we all know guys like that who are just good at everything they try.
Yeah.
I think of Joe Mauer and I think of Luke Inman. Those QBs
Well,
in a
yeah, I don't
pod.
want to brag about it. I can't say it, but you can say it. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
No, but so I actually went to Cretin-Derham Hall, and
Oh,
he's
cool.
plastered everywhere in that school, understandably so.
Yeah.
It not just because of his accomplishments on all the different fields or the courts or anything, but it's he's just a good, genuine person who cared for his community and never looked back.
So you may be a little biased on this one, but
A little
I'm going to
bit.
ask
I
you.
just might be.
Well, I'm going to ask you because this is one of my favorite questions to ask people. Better professional athlete to come out of Minnesota, Joe Mauer or Larry Fitzgerald? Holy
Oof.
Angels, number 3 overall pick, 100% will also be, without a doubt, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. You got to pick one to represent your state of Minnesota. Which one you picking?
Oh God! Like you said, I'm so biased, and I love Fitz. Fitz is awesome.
Yeah.
I see his dad every once in a while at Twins games, so that's really
Media
cool.
guy. Yep.
He's also just a huge, Fitz is a big part of this state too, obviously, in the sports culture here. But I think I still got to go with Joe. But like you said, I'm biased, fake news, everything. So we'll see.
Honestly, I did a little Twitter poll a year, maybe 2 years ago, and it was actually a little bit more lopsided than I thought for Joe Mauer. I just don't. And again, I totally get it. Can't go wrong either way.
Sure.
I just think some people forget about it. If you go pull up Larry Fitzgerald's stats and how many seasons that dude played, which in itself is like this huge achievement, such a brutal, barbaric sport to be able to play as many seasons as he did, especially with the kind of weak quarterback play as well. Again, this is a conversation for another day, but it was a little lopsided. It was like 80-20 Joe Mauer. The votes were in. So I definitely don't think you're being that biased with your pick there. Nerdy stat of the daytime. Give us some sort of crazy stat or fun analytic, Twins related. What do you got tonight? Lay it on us.
So look, we know Matt Wallner has been absolutely killing it since he's come back up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
He has not grounded out in his last 15 games,
Wow.
Which is by far the longest of anybody in the big leagues. The next closest is 7. So, he's a guy, like you said, who's looking to hit the ball in the air. And when things are going right, he's hitting the ball in the air. And right now things are going right. So it's pretty interesting to see just where his outs are coming from. It's either striking out or flying out.
Boy, I love that. Absolutely great little fun fact there. Did not know that. All right, don't go anywhere. Got to preview game 2 tomorrow. Joe Ryan versus Skubal. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me, my money, I swear by it, it's by far the easiest and most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously in full swing here. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code, all lowercase, Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Game 2 tomorrow, Joe Ryan on the mound versus Skubal. When I talked to Theo about why the Tigers have been so hot lately, the first thing he said was the pitching. Where is Skubal in this conversation? How good's he been? And what's your, little mini preview or scouting report, for this matchup? What are you hoping to see in Game 2 tomorrow?
Oh boy, Skubal he's a tough assignment for sure.
Okay.
He's got to be atop the league when you're looking at Cy Young odds. He's quite good. He's also going to be a pretty hot name that's discussed over this weekend with the trade deadline looming. I think it would take something massive to move him for the Tigers, who are hoping to be in the opening of their contention window. So it's going to be tough to give up the best pitcher in the league when you're just starting to turn that corner, but never say never. Anyway, he's a fantastic lefty, so the Twins are going to throw out just 100 righties against him. And last time they gave him a little bit of a run for his money, but look for him to make some adjustments against some different bats that are coming back here.
For sure. Yeah, going to see. It's going to be interesting in Game 2 to see how the Twins bounce back after this 9-run first game, right? And then come back versus a really dominant red hot pitcher. We'll see. That should be a good matchup for sure. A couple quick hitters, then we'll get out of here. Anything new, or like what's the latest with the Bally Comcast whole fiasco? I know it was reported things were like finally moving in the right direction, I guess, but like I'm out of the loop about all the details. Where exactly are we at, and are we moving in the right direction for that matter?
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing that there's a chance that the Twins would be among a few teams that would get a little bit of a payback from the league as part of the collective bargaining agreement,
Okay.
based on the fact that they've been losing revenue on their TV deal.
Okay.
So they would be getting some cash as a team that gets some of that revenue sharing. So it wouldn't be massive. It would be 15 million, somewhere around there.
Hey,
which
I'll take that.
Hey,
man.
I will take 15M, but yeah, no, but
Does that like correlate straight to like the salary cap, like, or is that going is a piece of that pie going in the front office pockets, the owners' pockets, or when you say 15 mil, I'm thinking, dude, that's like a quarter of their payroll already. We'll take that. Are you kidding me? But I guess, and that's a tough question to put you on the spot, but
sure.
I'd just be curious to how much that actually correlates to the payroll itself next year moving forward.
That's true. I guess I'm not positive who it will benefit more here. I'm hoping that some of that goes onto the on-field roster, at least in the sense that, they could make a swap for an upgrade this year at the trade deadline and not have to worry about, the making the team send money back with them and all the logistics that go in there. They could just say, hey, we have 15 million coming in that we weren't expecting before. We'll eat a little bit of this. So easy to spend somebody else's money, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Any kickback would be huge, especially for this team, and this payroll would be absolutely super solid. They need every penny they can get. Who's kidding who? You and I didn't talk for a few games, but how great was it to see David Festa come in and just shut things down like he did for 4 or 5 innings in that kind of spot start duty in Game 3 versus the best team in baseball versus the Phillies? How huge, how encouraging was that to see unfold the way it did?
Yeah, really refreshing, just because the first impression that a lot of people had of David Festa was 2 starts that he had that, weren't great. He was, rolling for the first few innings and then ran into some trouble that he couldn't get out of. This time, it was great to see him get out of 2 jams, one that he didn't even make himself. He came in with a couple guys on and got out of that, and then later on in the game got through some trouble that he did create. So, he's still a young pitcher, and he's, probably a consensus top 100 prospect based on his body of work in the minor leagues. So good to see him finally get a good outing under his belt to kind of take that sour taste out of everybody.
No doubt. Great bounce back for sure. Any chance he could stick around, I guess, more long-term the rest of the second half, I guess, with Paddock's arm on the fritz, so to speak, or what's the short and what's the long-term game plan with him, if you had to guess?
Yeah, long term, I think they still definitely see him as a rotation piece. And we'll see what happens at the trade deadline. They could look to make an upgrade there, but if not, I could see Festa making a handful of starts from now through the end of the year. And then who knows, maybe he's looking so good that they decide, hey, we need this guy up in our playoff roster and he's a long reliever or, the last guy in on. But it's going to be a crowded picture, so we'll see what happens.
Justin Topa comes over in that Jorge Polanco deal. Everybody's been waiting for that dude to finally get healthy and just do anything, I guess. I know he's close. Apparently, that's what I heard a few days ago. What's the latest with him, and will we see him, I guess, anytime soon?
Yeah, his rehab is moving to St. Paul, so it's looming here that he could be an option. He had a fantastic year last year as a rookie. He was also like 30 years old, kind of a late bloomer. Who knows if it was an anomaly that year, but if he replicates anything like he was last year, that's an excellent option as your 6th best reliever to have somebody with a ERA in the 2s or low 3s, which I think is what he finished the year with last year. That's a huge if. We'll see what happens, and it's not going to be catastrophic if he doesn't pan out like they were planning, but it's worth a shot to see what he's got.
Yeah, can never have enough back there. That's for sure. And again, we're talking Festa, talking Topa's upside, knowing everything you know right now, today, July 26th, Friday night as we record this. Would you rather see the front office go target some more relief help? That would, I'm sure, be cheaper as far as like giving away some of their top prospects, or would you rather see them push all the chips in and mortgage a bigger piece of the future for a legitimate starter to add in the mix? Like what would you rather do? And what do you think they'll actually do at the end of the day?
I think the bigger impact would come with a rotation upgrade. That's going to cost a lot more, like you said. The Twins do have this massive collection of teams, of players that have just a ton of team control left and that are kind of establishing themselves as big league players. And some of their top prospects are in AA and AAA, which is huge.
Yeah.
So I think that the bigger package would have to go for a rotation upgrade. And there can be some risk there, but there can also be some awesome payoff that we've seen almost every year with whoever ends up winning the World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that's a huge catalyst more years than not, making a big splash at the deadline, usually in the form of a starting pitcher. I know Theo kept mentioning Paxton, who's floating out there, and how much sense that would make just because the price tag is so cheap. Is he still an option for them? And do you agree that he does check a lot of boxes for what they need?
He actually got traded to the Boston Red Sox tonight, so he's off the board for now. Who knows? We saw a couple years ago when the Twins traded for Jaime Garcia, started him once and flipped him again.
That's a good point.
I think they can do better. I think they can do better than Paxton.
Okay, setter sets a little higher. I like that. Okay.
Yep. Paxton, I can see where Theo's going with it for a back end guy to kind of be there with Paddock and everything, but I think they have the assets to do something bigger if they want.
Well, speaking of assets, speaking of top prospects, The Athletic actually new top 60 MLB prospect rankings just dropped. You want to guess how many Minnesota Twins made the cut? Top 60 in MLB.
60. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say 5.
Wow, in the top 60. Okay, so it was 3. Brooks Lee at number 9, Emmanuel Rodriguez number 26, Zebby Matthews just squeaked in at number 60. Look, Brooks Lee, everybody knows he's a stud. He should be a monster. 26 and 60, actually, for me, for Rodriguez and Zebby, that surprised me in a good way, actually. But go ahead.
Jenkins?
What was your thoughts?
No Walker Jenkins on that list?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess why no Walker Jenkins in here?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Let me pull it up. You continue your thoughts on that, and I'll check that out here.
Regardless, the Twins obviously have a handful of guys that are in the conversation for top 100. You know, we're talking those guys you mentioned, and then we're going Festa's up there, Zebby Matthews, Luke Keishel's going to be pushing it pretty soon.
Yeah, I said Brooks Lee at number 9, meant Walker Jenkins.
Got it.
Jenkins. Yeah. So Walker, again, Emmanuel 26, Zebby at 60. And again, I didn't know Zebby was I mean, I guess, have they been that good this year, Zebby? And I know Rodriguez has always flirted in that top 50, top 70-ish, been hurt, been healthy, looks great, gets hurt again. But they've been that good as of late, I guess, huh?
Zebby's been massive. He's got the best strikeout to walk ratio in all of professional baseball. I'm not saying that he's going to be some, phenom ace Paul Skeens or anything, but he's showing a lot of tools that he can definitely be a top end starter if things break right.
Man, absolutely. Super encouraging. Would hate to see any of those guys get traded, but at the same time, got to make a decision, got to push the chips in eventually if you think you got the goods when fully healthy and you get everybody back to make a run at this division and ultimately get hot and make a run in the postseason. So we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, we'll be breaking all that down as the trade deadline nears. Always fun talking Twins with you. Twins cruise past Detroit in Game 1 tonight. Still 4.5 back from Cleveland. They won 3-1 tonight. Game 2 tomorrow. Game 2 of 6 really on the road for this team. First pitch tomorrow, 5:10 p.m. Again, Joe Ryan on the mound for that one. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game right here to break it all down. Quick reminder, got to go check out all of Sweet Lou's work on X at Sweet Lou MN, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. And remember, like this video, subscribe to the channel. So close to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. All right. Let's get out of here. That'll do it for us. Sweet Lou, Luke Inman on X, at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.